Hi, my name is John, and I am a customer of omnicnc CNC. I purchased my omnicnc 1325 about 2.5 years ago from a salesman named Alan Zhang, and there was no moment where I was unhappy in any time in the purchase. We basically kind of came in contact through Facebook on a CNC users forum, and I was talking to a friend about how I wanted to get a bigger CNC than the small one that I had, and Alan reached out to me and asked me what he could sell me, and it was kind of ironic because I honestly thought I was giving him more CNC than he would be willing to sell me. The reason for that had nothing to do with Alan, but everything to do with my concern about purchasing something that had come across any of the oceans, but particularly the Pacific, because I was an Air Force pilot, and it's a 12-hour drive even when you're flying to Japan, and of course omnicnc is in China, so it's even a little further. And I have had friends who had things wash off the top of boats when they were moving back from overseas, and so I was just really concerned about purchasing a piece of heavy equipment from overseas. It didn't matter where it was coming from, because I just had friends who had bad experiences with the shipping and stuff. But Alan worked out a really great deal for me. I was very happy with the CNC. It's much more than I ever expected to purchase. And he sent me pictures throughout the process to let me know what the CNC, what phase of building it was in, and the deal was everything I wanted and more. And I've been very, very happy with it. And now that I have it in my garage, I have been able to do things, make things with it that I could never have made on my small CNC. So it is just, I'm very, very happy with it. The quality of the CNC, I've used other kinds of CNCs. I've taught on other kinds of CNCs. I won't use any names, but I'll just tell you that this is every bit the quality of those other CNCs, and they cost more than twice what the omnicnc 1325 costs. So I am going into a small side business, and it does everything that I need for it. It's great for making countertops, doors, and if you want to do the odd 3D cutting, of course it does a great job with that also. So I have just been very, very happy with it, and I highly recommend omnicnc as a place to look at CNCs. They sell a great variety, and they've got, I'm sure, something that you'll be interested in. I recommend contacting Alan Zhang. His email is omnisales6, that's all one word, at omni-cnc.com. So you want to reach out to him and contact him about getting a good deal on a CNC. My understanding is that their CNCs are, they've got quite a good sale going on right now, and they come with my recommendation. So in any event, thanks for listening to me. I hope you have a great day, and once again, thanks Alan for reaching out to me. Take care. Today in my shop, I'm going to be making a gift for a friend of mine's wedding. It's a American flag cutting board, and it's fairly involved. I will be using the omnicnc CNC I have. I call it the Beast because it's really a big and powerful CNC. It has a lot more power in the spindle than I probably need, but it's always nice to have the extra power. The reason I have to use the omnicnc is that my planer is only 13 inches wide, and the CNC allows me to surface arbitrarily wide material with a surfacing bit. So the cutting board's about 18 inches wide, and it's going to be a little more than 30 inches long, and because of that, it's nice to have the CNC to be able to to use to surface the oddball large size stuff. This is the over 4 foot by over 8 foot Omnitech CNC I purchased a couple of years ago. It's been a really good CNC so far. I haven't had no complaints about it. It's got a nice 6.5 kilowatt spindle. It's water cooled, and because I live in Arizona, it gets really hot here in the summertime, so it's important to be able to have that water cooled spindle. You can't see it from here because I have a spoil board on it, but it's got a vacuum table, which is very handy when you don't want to damage the materials that you're cutting, and the two very powerful vacuum pumps are on the hidden on the other side of that that gantry that you see right there. The Omnitech also came with a very powerful dust collector, which is very useful given that I only have a 3-car garage, and my garage as a result can get filled up with sawdust really quick, so that's not a very fun mess to clean up. So the vacuum the dust collector helps a lot. What you're looking at right now is a lot of wood on there. I'm getting ready to make some other cutting boards that are going to be very decorative, so they're made up with all sorts of wood. As you look a little bit to the right, you'll see that there are a couple of jewelry box tops there also that I owe a person very near and dear to me, my wife, and I started them and have not finished them yet. So I'm sure that she looks at it and says, "Honey, when are you going to finish them?" So I'm going to do it soon, sweetie. Here you can see the CNC running back and forth, planing the material. The material is made from mahogany and maple, and I've got a 1 1/4 inch Magnate 2704 router bit on it. It really does a nice job surfacing the material. The nice thing about being able to surface something on the CNC, which you might not expect as a normal use case for the CNC, is that once you get everything attached down, you can, and you feel, excuse me, a lot more comfortable with your CNC. You can pretty much start it up, let it go, head elsewhere in the garage, and work on other things. Because I'm recording the video right here by hand, I don't have a good tripod. I was not able to go off and cut some wood on the table saw that I needed to cut. I am trying to be very adherent to the specs on how a U.S. flag is supposed to work, and as it worked out, I'm a couple inches short, so I've got some more material that I'm going to cut that's off screen, you can't see right now. But in any event, you can see that it's very rigorous, it's repeatable, and it doesn't require supervision. And if you're going to yell at anything, if it doesn't work, you can yell at yourself, because it's not the CNC's fault. The CNC is very rigorous about doing what you need it to do. Something else that I'd like to add about the CNC is that it is it's as accurate as you can get. It is as precise as you can get. So where I'm going with this is, if you feed wood through the planer and you're not really religious in the way that you go about feeding it, you can wind up with boards that are slightly off, and then you have to take a little bit more material off of them to get them all planed up properly. Whereas with the CNC, you do one side, flip it over on the flat side, do the other side, and you're pretty much golden. The material comes out really nice, and I just have had no complaints about it whatsoever. These are some other things I've made here for the house. When my wife and I first moved in, we moved from a pretty small apartment to a much bigger house, and we kept leaving our stupid keys all over the place and losing them. So one day I got frustrated, and it took me about 20 minutes to take a pine board and drop a key holder, and then my wife was kind enough to paint it. So that was a pretty handy deal. The Of course, no house would be complete without a plaque and decoration that indicated who actually lived there. So I carved this, and then my wife filled in the carving with a resin with a copper coating, and I think it turned out really nice. Very happy with it, and it was very inexpensive. I wish I could claim credit for having designed this object, but this was a simple theft off of the Vectric website. It's a beautiful little mantle clock that they had, and I converted it into a beautiful red oak, and it wound up being a Christmas gift for my wife, and I was very happy with the way it turned out. As it works out, finish is always the secret to having a beautiful piece, and in this case the finish turned out very well. Sylvan Wood Carving is brought to you by omnicnc CNC. Quality is our core. What we're going to be doing today is making a trivet from several different kinds of wood and texturing it. What you're seeing right now as I go through is the different cut types I use in Vectric Spire. There's a texture right in the middle. I wound up modifying that a little bit with the final products. So what you're seeing here is close to, but not exactly, the same as the trivet that I made, and that was because I wanted a little more random appearance. What you're seeing here is a V-carving of the filigree that I added to the border of the trivet, and it was very easy to do with Vectric Aspire. You pick an image of your choice, pick the functionality that will allow you to trace the image in an automated fashion, and then simply go through and clean up any of the vectors that you need. So very easy, very handy to get some very beautiful inlays, and I guess I'm using the word very a lot there. You can see that the CNC is very precise in following its instructions. So that's the nice thing about it, is if you don't possess any artistic skills, such as myself, you can still use the computer to add the nuances like this filigree that will make your woodwork come out just great. This is the handheld controller for the Omnitech 1325. Really handy to be able to have and walk around the CNC. And of course, you can see all that's going on too. This is the texturing of the inner part of the filigree. And I have to tell you, I made the mistake of not checking how much time it was actually going to take to do this. It's been a very long time since I ran textures on any wood, and I just completely forgot about it. It is a very long process. So if you've got someplace to go and you don't trust your CNC, then you're going to be pretty busy sitting there staring at the machine while it does its artwork. But it is really nice. You can make the difference between a, let's say, an okay conference table and a really impressive, beautiful table by using texturing. Now here I was experimenting with some very short lines. The texturing process in V-Carve, in Vectric Aspire is very configurable, so you can mess around with random noise inside the cut process, how long you want the lines to be, how deep you want the lines to be. So it's very, very handy, and like I said, it can really make the distinction between an okay project and an outstanding or beautiful project.